I'm going to show you 3 ways to improve your score on the Duolingo English test, and this video might change how you answer tasks like writing sample, speaking sample, and even interactive writing. So let's improve your score and practice together. So part 1 is all about finding the main parts of a question. So we're going to start with speaking sample, but this is the same for writing sample and other parts of the test too. So what do we look for? Well, first, instruction verbs like describe, explain, discuss, compare, right? Question words, so what, why, how, when, where, who. Important detail words, you'll see words like significant, that means meaningful or important, positive, negative, daily, okay, these are important detail words. And then topic nouns that help us understand the topic. Maybe it's about a place, an experience, a habit, some kind of benefit or problem, right? Technology or community. So let's look at an example question. Describe a place you visited that had a significant impact on you. What made this place special, and how did your experience there change your perspective or feelings? Perspective is like your view, your viewpoint or opinion. So we can see we have describe, right? A place, significant impact, what made it special. So let's break this down, okay? Let's just see the question in its main parts, okay? So there's the question. And the first thing is describe a place you visited. So it's the place and it's your experience there. The second part, what made this special, right? What made it special? And then how it changed you in some way. So those are the 3 main parts of this question. It might seem easy, but you need to be able to do this quickly. Remember, for speaking sample, you only have 30 seconds to prepare, and you should see the main parts of the question in the first 5 or 10 seconds. Let's do another one. So here is another example. Discuss a simple habit that you believe can significantly improve overall health and wellness. Explain why you think this habit is important and how it can be easily incorporated into daily life. So first we want to look at the instruction words like discuss or explain. Some important words, simple habit, right? Significantly improve health. Why you think it's important. So let's break it apart. Let's break it down into the main points. Sometimes there are 3, sometimes there are 4, other times only 2. So discuss a simple habit. That's the most important thing, isn't it? We need to explain what this simple habit is. Then why it's important for health and wellness. And finally, how to incorporate it, so include it into daily life, our day-to-day life. Okay, those are the 3 main things we need to talk about. Now, the best way to practice this, and I want you to practice this, is if you go over to Arno, choose a question in speaking sample, and for now, you can just write down 3 or 4 of the main ideas in the question. And in the bottom left of the screen, you will see our Arno AI, and you can just check that you got it correct. Do this many times, okay, and then you will start to really understand these questions deeply. Okay, let's look at another one. So really do your best. Let's read it. Think about a song or piece of music from your culture that means something special to you. Describe the music and explain why it is significant. Significant is an important word. You'll see it a lot, right? It means meaningful and important. So let's break it down. The first part is, what's the song, right? What's the song or piece of music? Next is, what is the music like? So describe the music, okay? Describe the music. And then finally, explain why it is significant. So why is it significant? Those are the three main parts. Okay, so a recap, guys, is just remember to look for the instruction words like describe, explain, discuss, question words, what, why, how, and the main parts of the question. Keep doing this and practice on Arno. So yeah, the goal is to know exactly what you need to answer, because if you don't understand the question, how are you going to answer it? All right, let's move on to part 2. So part 2 is all about practicing the skill of thinking of 3 main ideas for the question as fast as you can. So let's look back at our previous question. We have the main parts and we just need to think of them and keep them in our mind, okay? So the first thing, this is my example, everyone. The song or piece of music, I will choose the song Benedictus by Two Cellos. I like that version. So in my head, I'm just thinking Benedictus, okay? I don't need to memorize full sentences, just the main ideas. What is the music like? Well, it's slow, emotional, and powerful. Slow, emotional, and powerful. So I'm thinking Benedictus, slow, emotional, and powerful. And then why is it significant? Well, it was my granddad's favorite song. And here, if I were to answer this question fully, I would go into a story about me and my granddad and develop the ideas. Please stay until the end because I will teach you about structure, developing your ideas and connecting them. Okay, that is a really important part, so please stay for that if you want a high score. Okay, so here is an example. This is one from earlier, right? You remember, here are the 3 main parts. Pause the video and just think of 3 main ideas for you. Did you pause the video? I hope so. So, okay, my main ideas are, so South Korea, where I worked and made close friends. But in my head, I'm just thinking South Korea. Okay, South Korea, where I worked, made close friends. What made it special? Well, I met my wife. Of course, I can develop that into a story, and how it changed me. So I became more independent and I grew into an adult and learned more about who I really am. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, became independent, became an adult, right? Independent, adult, independent, adult. So in those 30 seconds, I'm thinking South Korea, met my wife, became independent, grew into an adult. Those are my main ideas, okay? Okay, it's time to try it for yourself. This is a new question. It's also a very difficult question. So take your time and please write down the main ideas. So I want you to practice part 1 and part 2. Let's read it. Discuss the role of digital technology in transforming modern society. How has it influenced social interactions, economic activities, and cultural norms? Use specific examples to support your viewpoint. So first, let's just look at the main parts of this question. And for this, sure, write it down. There might be some difficult phrases here, like social interactions. That just means how we communicate with each other. Economic activities, right? How we buy and sell and work, and cultural norms. So it's normal behavior in your country, things like that. Okay, pause the video, go. All right, now this is a difficult one because you might write down something like the role of digital technology in modern society, right? That's the start. Discuss the role. That's important, isn't it? That's the topic. Next, how it has changed social interactions, how it has changed economic activities, how it has changed cultural norms, and maybe give specific examples. But really, when you think about it, the start is really showing you the topic, isn't it? And number 5 is just saying you need to give examples. So when we think about the main parts of this question, really, there are only 3, right? How these 3 things have changed because of digital technology. That's quite difficult, isn't it? All right, I hope you got that, but don't worry if you didn't, because it's a really difficult question. All right, let's keep going then. So here I'm going to show you some of my main ideas. So for social interactions, we have social media and messaging make it easier to stay connected. But in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, social interactions, easier to stay connected. Easier to stay connected. Okay. Number 2, online shopping and remote work. So working from home or abroad. That's changed how people do business. So again, I'm just going to try to memorize changed how people do business. And the next one, for cultural norms, streaming and social media have changed how people consume entertainment and follow trends. So maybe I will just memorize people consume entertainment differently, or how people consume entertainment. So I'm not memorizing full sentences, but I am memorizing my main ideas and some phrases, okay? All right, so let's recap. So please remember, in your preparation time, think of at least 3 clear ideas. Use keywords, right? You don't need to memorize full sentences. Okay, just phrases or the main ideas. And our goal is to know exactly what you're going to say. So we have our main ideas, and then we are going to develop them. And that is in the next section. So let's go. Okay, this might be the most important part of this video, and it's all about structuring your answer, developing your ideas, but also connecting them, okay? Now, I have talked about this a lot, but it is called peel, and this will help you with your structure. So it's just point, you say your point, then you explain. So you explain why you think that. Then you give an example. Yes, and then link, right? And link is like, so what? Why does it matter? What does this show? And it can also be used as a summary at the end. So this peel is like 1 paragraph. That's how we expand one of our main ideas. And really important, look at example. It says short story or anecdote. So it's a great time for you to tell a story or show a personal example. Some easy phrases for you might be, for example, in my own life, or a good example from my own life is, right, when I went to something. I can give you a personal example. Okay, I can give you a personal example. Next, for instance, when I was traveling around Europe, blah, 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 right? You can continue your answer. From my own experience, and do we have one more? No, we don't. But yeah, so write down a few of these phrases, memorize them, and it's a really great way to expand your answer and keep talking. Remember, for speaking sample, you have 3 minutes to talk. you need to speak for at least 1 minute, but you do have 3 minutes. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, please remember that. And everyone, I do have a free PDF to give you some really useful phrases. These are academic phrases to help you with this PEAL structure. Now, some of my students don't like memorizing PEAL, right? Point, explain, example, and link. So instead, I just say to them, okay, think of it like this. Point, why, example, so what? Okay, say it out loud. Point, why, example, so what? Point, why, example, so what? And if you keep practicing like this, it will come really naturally to you. Okay, it will be automatic. So, if you remember, we already looked at this question. We already know that there are 3 main ideas we are going to talk about. Okay, social interactions, economic activities, and cultural norms. So I'm going to show you my PEAL example. So we have for social interactions, so this is my first paragraph after my topic sentence. That is my introduction. So for example, social media and messaging apps make it much easier to stay connected. Why? That's the explain. Why? People can communicate instantly even if they live far away from each other. And here, I recommend you definitely look at the PDF, use some of my phrases. For example, this is probably because people can communicate instantly like this, okay? And then example, so let's use a personal example. For example, in my own life, when I lived in South Korea, I could still message and video call my family in the UK regularly. All right, that's my personal example. And maybe I could expand, I could develop that into a story if I wanted to. And then so what? Well, this means distance is less of a barrier, like a block to maintaining relationships, right? So it was easy to maintain my relationships. Let's look at the second paragraph or the second idea. Economic activities. So my point, my main idea, online shopping and remote work have changed how people do business. Why? This is because people can now buy products, sell services, and work for companies without being in the same physical location. My example, again, I will do a personal example. A good example from my own life is, that's a great phrase, by the way, write it down, is that I can work online with people in other countries without ever needing to be in the same office. All right, and then my so what, my link, is this has made work and commerce, like business, much more flexible and convenient. All right, well done. I'm going to show you one more before we move on. So cultural norms now. My main point, streaming and social media have changed how people consume entertainment and follow trends. Why? Well, music, films, and trends can now spread around the world almost instantly, right? Straight away. My example here isn't a personal one, but for example, a song from South Korea can become popular in Britain because millions of people discover it on TikTok or YouTube. And again, you can turn this into your own personal example or story. So you could say, for example, I remember when some famous songs that were actually from South Korea became really popular in my country, and keep going, all right? And so what? Well, this means cultures are becoming more connected and influenced by each other. So at this point, you will give your conclusion, okay? So let's recap, let's review. Remember here, you want to develop your ideas, and using the phrases in the free PDF, There's a link on the screen and in the comments. That will help you connect them as well. All right, so remember, point, why, example, so what? Or you can remember it like peel if you want. Whatever is best for you. So yeah, make your point, explain why, give an example, and use the example to tell a story, a short story or a personal experience, and then show why it matters. Link it all together, okay? All right, so the goal for part 3 is turning a simple idea, right, one of your main ideas, into a clear, developed answer. All right. All right, guys, if you're still here, well done, because it's the most important part. We are going to practice all 3 skills together. Are you ready? Well, let's go. So this is a new question. What is one thing you would like to change about your community to make it better? How do you think this change would benefit everyone? So first, just think of the main parts of the question. Go. All right. This is a bit difficult because actually there are only 2 main parts, right? There's what would you change about your community, right? The first question. And then the second part, which is how that change would benefit people, right? How would it help people? But I still recommend you have 3 main ideas, have 3 key ideas. We have the change. For example, this is just my idea, more parks and green spaces. I think that would be good. And then I'm going to add 2 benefits of that, all right? So one benefit is better physical and mental health, and the other one is stronger community connections, all right? So I still have 3 main parts. Why is it good to still have three main parts? It means you can speak for longer. All right. Okay, now I want you to pause the video and please write down your structure. Okay, go. Okay, well done if you did that. Now, just to let you know, today we haven't really talked about a topic sentence. That is our introduction and our concluding sentence. Of course, that's really important. Your 3 main ideas will help you make that, and using the question as well. But actually, I can do an entire video on topic sentences. If you want that, please just let me know in the comments and just put topic sentence, okay? But some of you might not need it. Here are some examples, but let's move on. All right, so here's my peel structure. So this is my main idea, right? I want to have more parks and green spaces. I think that would be really good. So one thing I would change is to create more parks and green spaces in my community. Why? Right, this is my explain. There aren't enough pleasant outdoor areas where people can relax or spend their free time. My example, for example, many neighborhoods near me consist mainly of roads, houses and shops, with very few places to sit outside and enjoy nature. This is true. So what? Well, creating more green spaces would make the area a much more pleasant place to live. All right, so that's my main idea. Now let's look at benefits. My first benefit is that we'll have better physical and mental health. So point 1 major benefit, great phrase, by the way, would be improving people's health. Why? Parks encourage people to walk, exercise, and spend more time outdoors. For example, instead of staying at home after work, someone might go for a walk in their local park. And here again, I could change this into my own personal example, okay? So, for example, instead of staying at home after work, I could go for a walk in the local park. So what? Well, this could help people become more active and reduce stress. All right, well done. My last peel structure for my last benefit. So it's all about stronger community connections. My point, green spaces could also bring people in the community closer together. Why? Well, they give people somewhere to meet, socialize, and spend time with their neighbors. Example, for instance, families might meet at a playground, or local residents could attend events in the park. And then my link, my so what. As a result, people may feel more connected to the area and to each other. Okay, so those are my examples. Thank you for watching. Remember to practice with Arno. It can really help you, and make sure you check you are correct when understanding the question, okay? Breaking it down into its main parts and then giving your main ideas. You can check with our AI as well. And then, of course, we can give you really, really meaningful feedback. All right, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, bye-bye.